So what's the most interesting fact about narcissists that you may not know? I had done a reel on this and people said, more and more, I want more information on this. Well, what do you think is an interesting fact about narcissist? What do you think is the most interesting fact about narcissist? Well, narcissists portray that they're confident, self-assured, strong people, okay? But this is all a front. Narcissists aren't strong. As a matter of fact, they're very weak people. And they're very insecure. And they're cowards. But they portray the exact opposite of who they are. This is why they put on this alter ego, this front, this other person to try to fool people. Because deep down, they are afraid. They're more afraid of you than you even realize, okay? But what they fear is the day that you realize that, all right? This is why narcissists always want to keep you off balance. They always want to make you doubt yourself. Always want to make you think you're the crazy one, or you're wrong, or they're better than you, okay? They don't ever want you to know your worth. They don't ever want you to think that you're better than them, okay? Because that would crush the narcissist. People say all the time, why do they hurt us? Why do they put us down? You know, I'm being so loving to the narcissist. Why do they hurt me? Because the narcissist doesn't trust you. That's why. Deep down, the narcissist feels you're going to hurt them one day, or you are hurting them. See, narcissists think that you're doing the exact same thing that they're doing. Being sneaky, being a liar, cheating behind their back. Narcissists assume that you're cheating somewhere, or you will cheat, okay? So, the most interesting fact is the fact that narcissists are really afraid. And all of narcissism is really just a survival tactic to shield themselves from getting hurt. So they put on this big front to seem like they're so self-confident, and strong. And this also is what attracts people. When people first get with the narcissist, and I know from personal experience, when I was with the narcissist, I thought they were a very strong person. I thought, ooh, this person is strong. This person I could feel safe with. Oh, this person will have my back. They'll protect me. And that couldn't be farther from the truth, because when the chips are down, the narcissist will get going. They won't have your back, okay? They won't even stick up for you when other people come at you or put you down, okay? A lot of times they'll either stay silent or they'll be commiserating with those people behind your back talking about you. So the narcissist is a basic snake, a basic coward, a basic, a basic deceiver. All right. So the most interesting fact about narcissists is people think, oh, they're so self-confident. Oh, they're so strong. No, you're dealing with a weak, cowardly, insecure individual. That's what you're dealing with. And that's why they're doing all this to you, to try to lift themselves up and feel better about themselves. This is their goal, you guys, is to feel better about themselves. When they sit there and they gossip and they smear you, it makes them feel better about themselves, okay? Because they hate themselves. They really hate themselves deep down, all right? They don't love themselves. They hate themselves, but they try to cover it up. And this is why they're always self-serving, because they don't like who they are, and that's why they portray to be somebody else. That's why they copy people. They pretend when they see somebody that they're jealous of or they admire, a lot of times they copy them. They copy how they dress. They copy how they talk, all right? They steal people's business ideas. They copy people that they are jealous of or intimidated by. So if the narcissist is copying you, it's because they're jealous of you and intimidated of you, all right? It's because they can't be their own true, authentic self. So they copy other people. But Who does that? Insecure people do that, of course. Now, people come back to me and they say to me, what about the narcissist that tries to provoke you, tries to get a reaction out of you? Well, they're doing that to try to bring you down, put you on the defense. Always know your target and what they're trying to do. So this is the way they try to break down strong people, is to provoke you, is for you to take the bait. The way you take the wind out of the sails of the narcissist is to make them nothing, insignificant. They don't even deserve a response, okay? They don't even deserve for you to get upset, for you to be yelling and screaming or any of that. They're not worth it, you guys. They're not worth your time. And you won't realize that till later on in life, after you've dealt with a narcissist. You're going to look back on all the time you spent being angry at the narcissist, or you know, being sad, or whatever you went through. You're going to look back and you know what it is? It's a big waste of time. That's what it was. All it was a waste of your time, a waste of a piece of your life, because these people are nothing. They're damaged, and don't let them damage you, because that's the narcissist's goal, to make everybody as miserable as they are, okay? So the most interesting fact about narcissism is that narcissists aren't strong people. They really aren't. Because when you stand up to a narcissist, they're going to run. They may, rage initially, but then they're going to run when they see you're too strong. They're going to run. They may smear you behind your back. They may try to get other people against you, but they're going to run, okay? They're going to run because they know they can't take you on. And that's why a lot of times, why they do the smear campaign, because they either are jealous of you or they are threatened by your strength. This is what it is. They're threatened by your strength. If a narcissist keeps talking about you, you know you're doing something right. You know you got under that narcissist's skin. And you see this in politics, okay? You see this in politics, how people are smearing each other, all right? Why? Because they're jealous. They're threatened, all right? And what is a threatened narcissist going to do? They're going to get everybody to hate you. They're going to smear you publicly to try to break you down, all right? But when they see that you're too strong for them, they can't handle it. They just can't handle it, all right? So the whole, conception or idea that narcissists are strong people is a farce, okay? Because they're not. They're very, very insecure people, and the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in their actions. Why they're so insecure, okay? They can't just be with one partner. They have to be with multiple partners to validate themselves. This is what they want. They need to constantly validate themselves to make themselves feel like they're something, or they're somebody, or they're wanted, all right? They're not strong internally that they could say, you know what, I'm going to be with this one person. I'm going to love this person, and we're going to build together and have a life. No, they don't want to do that. You know why? Because that takes courage. That's what that does. That takes courage to put all your eggs in one basket and to work on it and to make that tree grow. That's a risk, all right? And that's something that a narcissist doesn't want to take, because they don't want to get hurt, because they are insecure. What they do want is they want instant gratification, and they're thrill seekers. They want to constantly make themselves feel better, because deep down they're insecure and they're miserably unhappy people. They really are unhappy people. Even though you see them on social media and they're posting about having a good time, out partying with the new supply, deep down they're very unsettled, okay? They're unsettled. Of course they're going to feel unsettled because of that deep-rooted insecurity that they have acquired during their early childhood development. It's nature plus nurture that has made them feel this way. See, you could have two children that come out of the same household. One could become narcissistic and the other one could not. Maybe even become an empath, right? And it's all how they how they internalize things. And that's where innate nature comes into place. People's innate nature, how they deal with things. That's why children in school, some children need extra help and some children don't, okay? Because internally, some people need extra help. The narcissist internally is fractured. Their whole being is fractured. This is why they created this alter ego to fool people and to protect that fractured self within them, all right? So this is the most interesting fact, is the fact that the narcissist may come off as a bully, may try to scare you, threaten you, but in fact, they are the ones that are afraid of you. And they will be afraid of you the minute you realize your power, okay? And this is what happens. And it happened to me, okay? I always used to question myself. I always used to say, am I the problem? Am I crazy? This and that. I had to go through a whole process, an awakening, till I got my power, my strength, and it came with education and spirituality, okay? My faith in God gave me my strength, made me realize who I am, okay? That, hey, I'm not a liar. I'm not a manipulator. I feel for people. I would never hurt somebody to try to benefit myself, all right? And that's where I realized, hey, this problem isn't, I'm not the problem. They're the problem. They're the problem because they can't own the truth. They can't take the accountability. But the minute that I got my strength and I fought back is the minute that the narcissists, they ran. They ran. They smeared me, then they ran because they can't handle confrontation. A lot of them can't. I mean, a malignant narcissist can, okay, but they're just going to listen to whatever they want to listen to and get violent with it. But a covert narcissist is going to run because they can't handle it, because they are so fragile and can't deal with confrontation. So that's because they're afraid. Covert narcissists are very big cowards. They're very afraid. Everything they do is ruled by fear. That passive-aggressive behavior is ruled by fear. People that are passive-aggressive have to give you sarcastic remarks, have to do the silent treatment, who can't deal with you head on, okay? Can't sit down and talk with you. That's a person who's afraid of you, in case you haven't realized it, and are afraid to take you on toe-to-toe. So they shield themselves and they hurt you in a passive-aggressive way with those behaviors, okay? By the silent treatment, by backstabbing you, by gossiping behind your back. Who does that? A coward does that. It's like when you say something like, well, if you got something to say to me, say it to my face. Oh, they a lot of them, they'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. You know why? Because they're afraid to say it to your face, because they know that you will destroy them and rip them to shreds, okay? So what do they got to do? They got to be a little coward and talk about you behind your back, or discredit you, or discredit your mental state, all right? But if they ever came at you like toe-to-toe and you had your power, you'd see how fast that narcissist would back down, all right? Narcissists will back down when they're up against somebody too strong for them. Understand that. And this is one of the most interesting facts about narcissism, because deep down, they really are afraid of you. So they're going to try to shoot you down. And when they realize that that's not working, that you're not, you're not faltering, you're not wavering, you're not backing off, you're not saying to yourself, oh, I think there's something wrong with me. That's when that narcissist is going to panic and run, all right? So that's the most interesting fact. The people that you think are strong, that are bullies, are actually the cowards, the weak ones, the insecure ones. Anytime somebody sits there and they start picking on somebody else, putting them down, criticizing them, that's the coward. That's the insecure one. That's the one who's afraid of these people, all right? That's what it is. They're afraid. So recognize that. Narcissists are not strong people. They're actually very, very weak people that try to put on a front because they're more afraid of you and what you'll do once you realize your strength. And that's just a fact. And you see this all the time in politics, why they're ripping people up, because they're afraid. They're threatened by these people that are going to take them on. This is what it is, okay? So they panic, they smear, and they collapse. They basically will have a narcissistic collapse eventually when they are up against somebody who will not bow down to the narcissist. That's what happens to a narcissist. When they're up against somebody that will not bow down to them, they'll have a narcissistic collapse because they can't take it. Eventually they will. They'll do everything they can to try to destroy that person. But when they see that person is not falling, they themselves are going to feel like a failure. Okay? So that's what it is, you guys. Don't be fooled by these narcissists. They're not what you think they are. They're not these strong people. They're weak individuals. And anything that comes out of their mouth doesn't mean shit, and don't take it like they're worth anything, all right? Anything that comes out of their mouth, you just have to say, you know what? They're trying to put me down because they're the ones that are insecure. So they got to put me down to make themselves better. Always look at where it's coming from. That's why the broke, busted narcissist will have the most nastiest mouth out there, because you're such a threat, because you're so much better than them that they have to put you down, okay? Remember, look at where it's coming out of. Look at who it's coming from, all right? They put you down to make themselves feel better because they are threatened by you. And that's the most interesting fact about narcissists. They do these things because they're afraid of you, all right? Afraid of your strength. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of your strength because deep down, they're not strong people. That's why they can't stand alone. That's why they need their army of enablers, because they can't stand alone, all right? Without their enablers, they're nothing. Understand this, all right? So I hope that helps you. I'm losing my voice, you guys. Sorry, it's hard to get this podcast out. If you're looking for confidential one-on-one phone coaching, check out the link in the bio at askgaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. If you're confused, you don't know if you're dealing with a narcissist, what kind of narcissist you're dealing with, and you need clarity, check it out, all right? TikTok is The Game Exposed. YouTube, I have a lot of videos, over 7,500 videos on YouTube at The Game Exposed Podcast. TikTok, like I said, is The Game Exposed, and Facebook and Instagram is The Game EXP123. And have a great day.